With all of the mayhem and the suffering and pain going on around the world, how can you tell when you're being asked to jump in and do something? I'm going to address Van's comment today. That should be popping up here in a minute. How do people with empathy turn away from tremendous suffering just to keep a high vibe? To turn away doesn't seem more normal. First, I want to address really quickly, turning away from pain and suffering is not to raise your vibration. And that's not the request, to turn away from pain and suffering. Raising your vibration is directly correlated to you turning off the media and setting boundaries with people and leaving jobs or partnerships or relationships that are not supportive, that are bringing you down in fear or negativity. Okay, as far as pain and suffering, number one, what you see on the media, I cover this a lot on this channel, what you see on the media is not real. Okay, they take nuggets of truth and they're putting it out there, but they're orchestrating a lot of this pain and trauma in order to keep you hijacked. Okay, so how can you tell if this is for you? As an empath, it's tough. I grew up as an empath. I'm an empath. As a child, I didn't realize what was happening. I was feeling everyone else's emotions, and it was terrifying. I have a lot of clients who have kids or empaths, and I'll address that more in another video on how to help them. But this is one of the reasons why they're rejecting school right now. So how do you know if something's for you? Use discernment, connect to your higher self. Okay, connecting to higher self wisdom is where you get your truth. You're connecting to truth. Your higher self is outside of this realm that is seemingly a lot of suffering sometimes, but just remember, there's more good than bad going on. They only want to project the bad in order to hijack you. Go watch the series I just did for more information on that, okay? If it brings you fear, it's not from your higher self. I see other creators on here, psychics or channels, posting messages that are so fear-based. That's they're either channeling through their ego or they're not channeling the light. The light is never going to bring fear, ever. It's always going to encourage and bring at least neutral guidance, okay? I'm going to tag in this video some creators that I have identified as channeling the light. If you want to go follow them as well. And remember, if you're hearing other people's content and it's bringing you fear, there's something off. Use your own discernment. Even with the people I'll be tagging, use your own discernment. But these are the people I've discerned are channeling the light. You will receive soft nudges from a high level first. So usually your higher self will speak in soft nudges or high level. It will give you specifics sometimes, but after channeling for so long now, I realize that the guidance is more high level. It's more encouraging and high level. They'll get specific, like when I channel for clients, they will start high level with universal law kind of stuff, but more like how do you work within this reality? How do you create the life you want? And then they'll get specific. If you want to use a tool, put your hands over your heart and say, is this for me? Is there something I should be doing here? Should I be taking action on this? What am I learning from this? And start practicing how that feels in your body to discern if it's from your higher self or not. And how does it make you feel? Okay? If you're feeling inspired, hopeful, etc., that's for you. That's your higher self speaking to you. If you feel fear, if you're projecting, you're worried, it's not from your higher self. Okay? I'll give you an example. If you're watching a creator's content or you're watching the news and you are in fear, that's not your higher self. In fact, that's a clue that something has to be changed. Something has to be shifted, okay? Now, how to know if something is for you. So Van and anyone else out there, I have so many clients, and I had to learn this myself, who want to help. They're like, how can I help? There's so much suffering. Well, first of all, turn off the news, period, okay? I know it takes a long time to get, creating a habit, 21 days to create a habit, but turn off the news. If you're still experiencing any low vibrational feelings, there's a good chance you're watching the news. Turn it off. It's made to do that. How to know if something's for you? You won't have to search for it. It's not going to come from a commercial on TV to donate money for kids or animals, period, okay? It's going to come into your immediate reality. I'll give you an example in a minute. You will experience synchronicities. There will be synchronicities that you go, oh, wow, this is the third time in this week this has come up. That's for you. It will be in your immediate reality. It will be neutral. It won't be from fear. You won't feel fear as the motivation. You won't feel panic and anxiety as the motivation. You can ask, is this for me? I'll give you an example. I'm an advocate. I stood up against overt racism against non-white women in corporate as a highly sought after process designer, sales team executive, multi-layered executive, vice president at a Fortune 100 bank. And I'm always the one jumping in to try to help animals and people. And it was, I had a stroke. I had a stroke from the trauma. And after I left corporate, my guide said, we're going to show you how you know if this is something that it's for you. I'm always trying to help everyone. And they said, We're going to show you. So one day, about 3 years ago, I was sitting on my couch, 3.5 years ago roughly, in my pajamas, not planning to go anywhere. I had moved out of the city into the forest, and I was perfectly peaceful living in my little forest house. And all of a sudden, I got this undeniable urge to go into town. It just came into out of nowhere. Get up and go into town. I live about 35 minutes away from town in the forest. And I thought, I don't want to go into town. Where is this urge coming from? Over and over until I almost felt like I was forced off the couch. Fine, I'll go into town. I don't know why I'm going. I have no reason to, but I'm going to follow this nudge. And I got dressed and I got to the freeway and I witnessed a head-on collision. I ended up taking this family under my wing and helping them out. They were living in a trailer, very poor. And I bought them food and I started doing errands for them, etc. When they were taken to the hospital from the collision, a policeman asked the mother who was driving, her 13-year-old daughter, they asked her if she was on anything. And she said that 9 hours before she had partaken in Mary Jane for her chronic pain. This woman was suffering from massive chronic pain. She has metal all over her body, etc. Because she said that to the police, they took her children. And 2 weeks later, she calls me hysterical saying that she was just notified by CPS that they were shipping her children off to another state and they weren't going to tell her where they were going. They were now in the trafficking system. She calls me hysterical and I realized this is why I was guided to go into town. It was this, not buying them groceries, not helping them, taking them back and forth from the hospital to visit, the people that weren't in the car, to go visit their family in the hospital because they didn't have a car anymore. It was for this. How would I have known that had I not followed the nudge? So I told the mother, who was hysterical, I said, this is what you need to do. You need to tell them no more texting about this. This needs to all be done over email. I want to know who interviewed my children, who was witness. I want the recordings, and I want to know what rules and laws you're referring to while taking my children. She calls me back 2 hours later, crying again, saying she was called by a manager at CPS that said, oops, sorry, we made a mistake, and they gave her kids back. That would not have happened had I not helped her find her voice. I'm a tenacious person. Go check out my story again. I'm not going to let this stuff happen either. So I understand what you're saying, Van, but this was for me. My guide said this is an example of how you know it's for you. I didn't turn away from pain and suffering. I went into it, but I didn't know that's what it was at first, okay? I hope this helps. All right, and then lastly here, they wanted me to share with you, my guides, you are not here to manage the world. We're not here to carry the world in our hands. You have to understand that I already explained a lot of this in my other videos, but in addition to what I've already explained, souls choose to incarnate here to explore certain themes, okay? If someone has caused a lot of pain and suffering in another lifetime, most times, I have yet to see this not to be true, they will choose other lifetimes where they're on the other side of that, experiencing pain and suffering. Maybe they choose to be homeless, whatever it is. Maybe they were the abuser and they've chosen to be the abused, to understand it. It's not right or wrong. It's just the soul trying to understand different perspectives, okay? So if we're constantly jumping in to people's trauma and trying to fix it for them, they're not exploring and they're not learning what they came to learn. Also, you have a unique mission and purpose, everybody. If we're constantly trying to save other people, you're not honoring your mission and purpose. And only you can do what you came to do because only you have the wisdom from this life and other lifetimes to be the perfect person for that. Everyone is on their own path, like I just explained. Pain to purpose. Pain has a purpose, okay? Now, you can self-inflict pain by continuing to watch the news or continuing to stay in a relationship that you shouldn't stay in anymore, or stay in a job that's not supportive, right? But usually your experiences, so far, I've channeled so much trauma for clients, the reasons behind their trauma, and it's always for a reason so that they can gain the medicine and insight they need to help the collective, okay? So if we're robbing people of that, they're not here to living their mission and purpose, right? That's why you have to let people stumble and fall and learn from themselves, because if they don't learn, how can they teach? That's the whole point of all this. Trauma helps people wake up. People have to experience trauma sometimes in order to wake up spiritually, right? Look what happened in 2020. So I'm going to tag the creators here again that I recommend following. This is a little bit a side message here. If somebody's presenting content that's bringing you fear, that's fear-based, is this for me? What's the message here? But your higher self, higher wisdom, the channeling the light will never, ever, ever be fear-based, okay? So I'm going to tag the creators that I recommend. Use your own discernment, though, and start unfollowing or blocking creators or people that are bringing in fear. It's different to bring in wisdom to help show you what you need to do more research on for your own sake versus sharing channeled messages that are fear-based, okay? So that's how you use your discernment. Drop your questions and comments below. Would love to hear from you. See you in the next video.